Welcome back to another episode of Transformational Travel. I'm excited. We have somebody with us today who has a lot of stories to share with us. And I don't know if we're going to be able to get to them all today. We'll have to see. Maybe we'll just have to have her back. So today I have with me Dr. Beverly Lawrence. Welcome, Beverly. Great to see you.
Thanks. Great to be here.
So for those of you who don't know her yet, Dr. Beverly is a licensed acupuncturist, holistic spiritual healer, wisdom teacher, metaphysician, shamanic practitioner, medical hypnotherapist, author, spiritual counselor, and solopreneur. She is the founder of Dancing Bear Enlightenment Academy, which I love that name. It's so cool. The Dancing Bear Healing Center and the ADBO Consulting. She has a YouTube channel on holistic spiritual healing, a book on meditation, as well as an app for Dancing Bear Enlightenment Academy. Her passion is to help people live their soul purpose. Very, very cool. So you mentioned, when we talked previously, you mentioned many different experiences that you've had while traveling. And I'm going to start us off with, can you tell us about your time in Glastonbury in the UK? What was so transformational about that experience?
Well, I went there for a spiritual retreat. I stayed at a monastery, and it was located in Glastonbury. So I spent most of the time in Glastonbury, and I went to the Abbey, and I was supposed to do a number of different things. The monks and lamas there had some plans for me, and while in Glastonbury Abbey, it was like I'd been there before, and I had to go back, and so I just kept going back, and I would spend hours there, and then I found this chapel, and I went in the chapel, and just all these past life memories flooded into my head, and I realized that I had lived there. And they had a ton of books, and everything's sort of synchronistic. And
Yes.
the monk had handed me this stack of about 4 or 5 books, and I just whipped through them really fast. And I come to this one story, I went, "Oh my God!" And I found myself in the book.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
I actually figured out, oh, I was this woman, and I lived at this time, and I went back again to the chapel, and while I'm sitting there, all of a sudden I saw a friend that I have in this life. In that life, he was the priest in that
Wow.
life. It was really bizarre, and then I was outside. There's a little plaque that says King Arthur was buried here. I don't know if he was or not.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, according to legend, the Mary, the mother of Jesus, there's lots of Marys, so it's the
Mm-hmm.
one that was the mother of Jesus,
Yes.
supposedly immigrated to England, and she
Wow.
had a hut there, and it was wooden, and it's gone now, obviously, because it was
Mm-hmm.
wood. And apparently there were 12 disciple huts around it. So I was standing there reading
Wow.
these plaques, and I look up at the sky, and it's like I get messages through clouds, and it was
Okay.
just amazing. I was just mesmerized, and it was like I could see the whole abbey and that whole of the buildings as if they were complete,
Right.
as if like it's all in my memory.
Yes.
So yeah, the whole English trip. The monks took me to Penzance, and there's a church out on an island. Oh, what is it? I don't remember the name of it, but the tides go in and out. And you can only
Mm-hmm.
go out there when the tide's out. So I went out to see that, and then we drove along the ley lines, if you know what ley lines are.
Mm-hmm.
And we drove along the ley lines, and we visited all these churches. Then they took me to Stonehenge, and I'm in Stonehenge. You have to pay to get in, and I'm in, and I'm walking around, and I'm going, there's no energy here. This is,
Mm.
why would you even be here? Well,
Right.
since then, I found out that they've reconstructed Stonehenge, and You have to look at the
Mm.
aerial view, and yeah, they messed up the energy. But
Oh gosh.
my higher self said, "Go outside over here by the fence." So I said, "Okay." So I left inside, went outside, walked along the fence over to the side, and oh my God, now I could feel the energy and I could see the sun going down. Because when you're inside, you can't even get near Stonehenge anyway. You're way
Hmm.
over. So on the outside, oh wow, I could see the sun coming down. I got some great pictures over there.
Nice.
But then they took me to Avebury. Now, if you
Hmm.
go to England, you have to go to Stonehenge, obviously, but go to
Right.
Avebury. I walked out into where the stones are, and as I'm walking, all of a sudden I'm teleported back in time. I'm way in the past. I hear this chanting. There's a whole long line of us walking. We're walking around in a circle. It completely freaked me out.
Wow.
I had to leave. I went into the gift shop because there's nothing more grounding than being
Right.
the 3D
Shopping.
garbage.
Yeah.
So I
Souvenirs
walked around in
everywhere.
there for a while, and then I went back, and then I was okay because I realized they were about to do a ritual, and it wasn't a good, pleasant memory. But
Uh-huh.
that one was really weird.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my trip to England.
Amazing. Wow. I've had experiences like that where there was one time I was driving home from, I used to train animals for movies and television.
Hmm.
And I was driving home from working on a film in Montana. And I had a couple of dogs with me that had been working on the film. And I don't remember where we were, Eastern Washington, somewhere. And there was a sign that said Buffalo Jump Park. And I'm like, well, I was intrigued by buffalo jumps. And so I thought, well, the dogs need a break. I'll go over there and check it out and let the dogs run around. And I got there and it was like this, it was on like this ridge, and you could see where the village had been. And it was a map of what it would have looked like and all of that. And they had these stone rings where the teepees were.
Hmm.
So you could see some of those were still there. And I took the dogs down there and walked around. And all of a sudden I realized I had lived here. And I know what you're saying, because it's like you remember something and then you find it or you read about
Yeah.
it, right?
Hmm.
And I thought, oh, my teepee was over there. And I walked over there, and sure enough, there was a ring. And so I know exactly what you're saying, and I've been in situations where you see it as if it's really happening around you,
Hmm.
and hearing it and smelling it. I mean, it's like you're really there, but you somehow you're really not. And it can be very freaky. It's very intense.
Yeah.
Wow. And did that experience for you, your time in the UK, did that shift or shift your mind or your perspective on anything when you came home after that?
Well, I have several lives that I remember in England,
Mm-hmm.
and that one, oh, I didn't talk about the tour. There's a tour by Glastonbury, and when I went up there, I had such horrific memories and feelings. I had to literally start chanting, and I had a special spiritual tool with me and use that.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I just had to leave. So what I realized is what we remember, and I remember my past lives now. I didn't remember all of them back then.
Mm-hmm.
And what we remember is the really pleasant, wonderful things
Yep.
and the trauma.
True.
And it's the trauma that we need to heal
Right.
because it carries over from lifetime to lifetime.
Yes.
And going to different places and feeling good and feeling traumatized
Mm-hmm.
helped me to realize just how, I mean, when you do shamanic practice, what you're really doing is you're going back to someone's trauma and healing it and
Yes.
coming forward. That's really what we do when we're working with people.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes when we focus on 3D and, oh, I'm going to give you energy or what have you, that's not what people need sometimes. Sometimes they need to go back and
Right.
or someone needs to go back for them and heal that spot in time.
Yeah.
People can do it through meditation if they know what they're doing.
Hmm.
But it really brought home just how much trauma from every lifetime that we have all stored up.
Right.
And I am so cold, I'm shivering. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong. I hope my voice doesn't sound funny, but I'm like, woo.
No, no, and I don't. Maybe it's the going back in the lifetimes and bringing those feelings back up is bringing up the coldness.
No,
You're just cold.
I set my thermostat at 60 before I go to bed, and today I forgot to turn the heat up.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
It's
Wow,
literally cold.
literally cold too. But I love that. One, yes, that you use these shamanic practices to help people to recover from past traumas, but also these opportunities of remembering these lifetimes in the UK
Mm-hmm.
that really brought them up for healing for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's travel, let's shift gears and leave England and travel to Nepal.
Okay.
And yeah, I know you have some stories to share from Nepal. So tell us.
Well, that was another retreat that I went to with Buddha Maitreya and a bunch of his followers. And we were there to do some darshans and some koras. They have stupas. If your audience knows what a stupa is, it's kind of a domed kind of thing, and you walk around it. And when you walk around it, that's called kora, and you spin these wheels that have
Right.
Om Mani Padme Hum in them a trillion times, or they're huge. So imagine there's quite a few little pieces of paper in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's spreading love and peace to the world.
Nice.
And we went on a day trip to where a Namu Buddha, a different Buddha, was killed by a tiger.
Mm.
And he died in a cave there. So we're in a bus and we're driving, and we get to an area where it's all dirt roads. So we're driving up this dirt road up a hill, and when you go up a hill, you're kind of doing switchbacks. You can't really see ahead. And all of a sudden, I have a flashback, and in this lifetime, I was a man. And I have a flashback of me as an old llama, and I'm dying, and I'm on a brown horse. It's the weirdest. I've never seen a horse that looked like this. It's a
Mm.
little bigger than a pony, but it's much smaller than your typical. Even
Uh-huh.
wild horses are bigger than this. And it had a short face, and I thought, what kind of horse? Because I love horses. I thought, what kind of horse is this?
Mm-hmm.
And a good friend of mine, another llama, was leading the horse because I'm frail and bent over. I'm going to Namu Buddha Cave to die.
Wow.
And we're going around the corner, and all of a sudden, there's a field, and there's this brown, weird-looking horse in the field.
Oh my
Just like
gosh.
the one I remembered. And I went, oh my
Right.
God, that's the kind of horses they have. Now, since then, I came home and I Googled horses in Nepal, and sure
Right.
enough, that's the kind of horses. I had no idea. I'd never seen a horse like that.
Wow. Very cool.
So we kept going all the way up, and we got to the cave. This was the first time I'd ever visited a place where I had died, because I did die there.
Wow.
And I couldn't go in the cave. I was just like,
Right.
okay. But I had a bunch of Nepal money, and I
Uh-huh.
was traveling with these. One of them was a tulku. He was a very high level tulku, and two lamas and a monk. And of course, they have no money. So I took out all the Nepali money I had, and I divided it up for the four of them. And I said, please go in there and give a donation for me, because there's no way I'm going in there.
Right. Right.
So I never went in because emotionally I couldn't handle it.
Right.
It's like, oh, whoa, I
Yeah.
died there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I didn't realize how emotional that can be when you go
Yes.
someplace where you died.
Yeah.
But I left lots of donations.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a past life memory of a place where I died, but Wow, that would be intense. I've come close to death a number of times, but not gone back. Well, I can imagine that would be very overwhelming, and that you'd already just had this vision of the lifetime, and amazing, incredible. I just can't imagine. It would be overwhelming, the feeling. I'm coming up, stumbling with words because I can feel it, feel what you went through. Amazing.
Yeah, it was quite a trip. It
Yeah.
was after that there was a lot of problems politically in Nepal,
Hmm.
but what I found striking was the way they do construction. And you know what a garage looks like, right?
Sure.
Imagine a garage made out of corrugated metal. So it's a
Hmm.
freestanding garage, corrugated metal with a garage door,
Right.
and a single light bulb hanging in the middle of this garage.
Hmm.
No bathroom, no sink, no kitchen, just one room. It's the
Yep.
and it's full of people sitting on the floor of the garage with a single light bulb above, making things to sell
Yeah.
in Kathmandu. And it's
Wow.
garage after garage. And if you have to use the bathroom, you go outside in the back. They don't
Right.
have toilets.
Right.
They make houses. They'll take a tree, chop
Hmm.
it down, cut the branches off, and they'll stick it up and they'll lash them together. And that's the structure for the house. And
Hmm.
they'll do two-story houses like that. This is poverty beyond anything I'd
Yeah.
ever seen.
Yeah.
And during the day, all of the compounds around had high walls, like maybe 10 feet, and
Hmm.
huge steel gates. And in the evening, you closed and locked the gates. You did not go out at night. And
Wow.
there'd be gunfire and dogs and all kinds of stuff
Oh,
going on because the
yeah.
communists were coming in at that time.
Hmm.
I don't know what it's like today.
Right.
This was a long time ago.
Right.
And they had rolling brownouts, or
Hmm.
wasn't even brownout, it was a blackout. I mean, they
Yeah.
literally turned all the electricity off.
Right. Right.
And so every day at a certain time, there was no electricity.
Yeah.
And we're just so spoiled here.
Yes, we are.
You know, if we have no electricity, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And
Yeah. Right. I can't get on the internet. What am I going to do?
it's on
Right.
the news.
Yeah.
Well, there was no internet when we were there. We
Yeah. Of
didn't,
course.
well, I think I had a cell phone back then. This was
Yeah.
a while back. Certainly no iPhones were out then.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I didn't take my computer with me, and I doubt that there was internet.
Right. I'm
The
sure
only,
not. Yeah.
they had a TV, one TV that we could all watch. We didn't really
Hmm.
watch it much,
Yeah.
but it was, well, at least they had water. They had running water all the time. But
Hmm.
when they did the laundry for us, I don't know what's in their water, but your clothes come out like hard and
Oh gosh.
icky.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
And
I know I've traveled a lot, and I spent 15 years in Panama, and my husband is a member of the a tribe there, and some of the tribal members that moved to the city had very little money, and they lived in very similar to what you described in these. It was just a shanty town. There is like one light bulb, and they had a wooden floor, and it was just like this tin shack. But I also found that they were some of the happiest people, and family and playing with the children. But yeah, your heart breaks, and it truly does give you a whole new perspective on how, you're right, how spoiled we are in the Western world, whether you're
yes.
in Europe or North America. There's, and even some of the ghetto areas and the poor areas of North America are nothing compared to what you see in some of these other countries.
Oh yeah, our poverty here is you'd be wealthy
In
in some
those
of these
countries, yes.
countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just unbelievably different.
Yep. And in Panama, there was almost zero unemployment, yet the minimum wage was $15 a day. It's
Oh,
like,
that high.
yeah, right.
Say a
And I know
week.
that that's high compared to many other countries out there. And in Panama, it's this modern city, looks like Miami, yet nobody can survive on $15 a day. Nobody.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
No, it's tough. Yeah, it really does. Traveling, just that a little bit of perspective really makes us appreciate what we have back home,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and that we don't need all the stuff that we really do have.
That's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, we're going to take a short break and we're going to come back with all right, welcome back, everyone. We are here with Dr. Beverly Lawrence, and she's been telling us amazing stories of some past life memories in England and in Nepal. And I had another guest on before, and she was a hypnotherapist and would regress people a lot. And she does, it's very similar to what you had done, but she intentionally called them what did you call past life pilgrimages, which she would have in memory, and then she would go to that place to remember it, which can be very, very powerful. But as you mentioned before, it can really stir up some emotions, but in a beautiful way that can bring about powerful healing. So you have shared with me that you've had no less than 5 near-death experiences, which is amazing. Just having one. I've come very, very close to death 3 times. One, I was given less than a 10% chance of survival. And one was an open skull fracture. Another one was caught in a flood and being sucked under the water. And thankfully, I'm still here. But even though in the one I was in a coma for 4 days, I have never had a near-death experience. I think I have a personal theory as to why that is. I think I would have enjoyed it so much I wouldn't have come back. They would have had to force me, and then I would have been really mad and frustrated. But doesn't mean that I don't enjoy my life. I do. But let's hear. I don't know which to start with, because you've had 5. I'm going to let you choose and share with us what you would like about those experiences.
Well, they were kind of a journey, and I divide them into 3 types. The first one was when I was young. I was in my 20s. I was an atheist, and I just had a baby, and ended up almost bleeding to death. It's a long story. I won't tell the whole story. But they put me into surgery, and they couldn't put me to sleep, so I was awake, and I realized I wasn't breathing. And so I wanted to raise my hand, and I realized I didn't have a hand. And then it sounded like they were moving away from me. And I thought, what's going on? And then I realized they weren't moving away from me. I was moving away from them. And then I'm in the light, and then I'm screaming. I don't know how you scream when you don't have a mouth, but in my head I was screaming,
Right.
I had a baby, I'm not going anywhere. And I wrote it off. I was in the light. Later they told me, they'd had so many different transfusions of IV and whole blood and plasma. And basically, if you know how much volume you have in your body, they replaced everything I had.
Wow.
And I just let it go, because I thought, oh, I just escaped death, and death is it. Well,
Yeah.
then I went into my shamanic training, and it was a 3-year residential training, and you're not allowed to graduate without having an NDE. So they induced one, and I'm sworn not to tell about it. So that was number 2. Then I had 3 fairly close together. My health just went downhill. I had cancer. I had everything wrong. And I was completely on the wrong path. I was eating the standard American diet called SAD. And I'd taken nutrition classes, but they were American nutrition classes. And so I thought I had a good diet, but I actually didn't. And in my younger years, I drank too much, so my liver was clogged up. And I just had a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
So the first, and I was going into anaphylactic shock all the time.
Oh, wow.
So I was rescued. I like to hike, and
Mm-hmm.
every Saturday I went hiking somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
up hills, up mountains,
Yep.
and I got rescued off of Mission Peak by helicopter. I was
Wow.
rescued off of Angel Island by ranger boat.
Oh my gosh.
I went into anaphylactic shock while coming down the mountain, and I knew if I didn't run, I wasn't going to make it. And
Wow.
when you go into anaphylactic shock, you're supposed to lay down and be still. But
Right?
I needed to get to help, so I
Yeah.
literally ran and collapsed on the ranger's stairs.
Oh my
I don't know
gosh.
how they got me into the boat. I came
Right.
to in the boat and then passed out again. So I was having a lot of problems. And
Mm-hmm.
so the first time I had this 3 in a row NDE,
Mm-hmm.
I was taken to the Akashic Records. So this was not like anything that had happened before.
Right.
And I'm standing there, and there's all of these people all around me, hundreds and hundreds of them. And I can tell they're all from different periods in time by the way they're dressed and their hair. And they're
Mm-hmm.
screaming and yelling, and they're really, if I can say, pissed off. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
okay to say live.
Sure.
They were really angry. And I'm just standing there overwhelmed, and I'm going,
Yeah.
doesn't anybody like me?
Oh.
Way in the back, a couple of hands go up, and they're jumping up and down. We like you, we like you. I thought,
Oh.
holy crap.
Yeah.
I need to change my ways because I don't
Wow.
want to die and face this.
Yeah.
Because by now, I'm no longer an atheist. You can't be a shaman to be an atheist.
Yeah, that's
You're
the
out
part.
there with the spirits. And
Yes.
so I thought I came back after that, and I started really meditating even more,
Right.
and trying to help as many people as I could. I
Mm-hmm.
was doing free healings of friends and friends of friends,
Right.
and then it happened again.
So I got to stop you for just a second. I got to ask. So when they were all yelling at you, do you think that was them yelling for you to change your ways? Was that what they were mad at?
No, they were mad at something that I had done to them in a past life. I knew who they
Oh,
were,
okay.
and some of them I recognized, and
Mm-hmm.
we run into the same people.
Sure.
And I realized if you make amends with the people you know now, it ripples back in time.
Nice, nice. All right. So I just had to clear that up. So let's
Yeah.
let's hear about this next one.
So I'm realizing that karma is real and you need to
Yes.
work on it. And
Yes.
emotions and feelings are really important.
Yes.
And I actually, that's a whole nother story we won't go into, but at one point I had no feelings. Think and feel meant the same to me. I
Uh-huh.
spent 4 years in therapy and a bunch of other stuff we won't go into trying to figure out what feelings are.
Right.
So now that I know that relationships are important, and so I'm healing people and I'm doing whatever I can and
Mm-hmm.
patching up old relationships that had gone sour.
Yep.
And I have my second one in this series.
Okay.
I'm back at the Akashic Records. So now it's about 50-50. So about
Okay.
half the people there's still hundreds that are real angry and yelling, but there's
Uh-huh.
now a group that are going, no, she's okay. And I
Okay.
think, okay, whatever I'm doing, I'm on the right track.
Yeah, it's working.
I need to do more.
Right.
And so when I had the third one, obviously there were still people that were angry, but it was no longer the thousands and the hundreds. It was a
Mm-hmm.
few, and there was a
Okay.
big throng of people that are going, yeah, she's okay. And so that's now my path in life, is just to
Mm-hmm.
help people either with their emotions, help them meditate, help them
Wow.
understand their life purpose and the importance that we're spiritual beings. We do not die.
Yep.
We are powerful beyond our imagination, and we can clear our old karma. We can heal our old traumas, no matter how old they are.
Yep.
And that's my passion.
Beautiful. Wow, amazing stories. And that would be a little off-putting when you have all these spirit entities, these beings yelling at you. I was like, wait, this isn't what I pictured. Right. Wow. But that you saw what the purpose of it was, and that's powerful. And you took action from it and shifted your ways. Beautiful. Good for
Well,
you.
I realized when I woke up that the minute I woke up, I realized I'm here for a sole purpose. I understood my purpose, why I'm here. Here to help humanity with this transition. I was behind. I should have gotten divorced 10 years sooner.
Mhm.
And I needed to make up that time. So I had to do a lot of work in a short amount of time. And at one point I went, oh, I caught up. Now, from
Nice.
now on, now I can just move forward and learn what I'm supposed to learn at a normal, whatever normal is, pace,
Right.
rather than
Right.
this, because I was learning things in a really compressed space of time that I had to learn things. So I think that's why I got my butt kicked so hard so many times.
But you took action and you learned and you're making progress. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing those stories with us. And we're coming up to the end of our time. This has been really fascinating. And you have a free gift for everybody, don't you? You want to share with us what it is?
Yes, my PhD is on frequencies because do a lot of different kinds of healing with light and sound and what have you. So I wanted to understand frequencies and frequency healing. And in the research, I found out about solfeggio frequencies. It was actually from ancient Egypt. Plato found out about it, and then a Benedictine monk found it in while reading Plato and created these frequencies, and they're different numbers. So I put together some of the more common numbers, frequency numbers, and put them along with that history in a little booklet. And I listed some frequencies in the booklet and then some places where you can go and get those frequencies. There are a lot of them are on YouTube or other places. And all you have to do is play music with those frequencies. You can do DNA repair, you can do pain relief. There's just all kinds of awesome frequencies. So that's all in the little booklet that I put together.
Beautiful. That sounds really cool. I'll definitely have to check that out. And those of you that as you're listening to us, you want to get that paper on healing with solfeggio frequencies,
Hmm.
the link is in the show notes. So check those out and go ahead and download this paper from Dr. Beverly Lawrence. So before we end, this has been a really fun conversation. Do you have any last words of wisdom for our audience?
Of course, be the light you want to see in the world.
Beautiful. Really powerful words. So, and it's very similar to Gandhi's message, it's like be the one, make the change you wish to see in the world. I'm paraphrasing,
Oh,
but
really?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, exactly. So, wow. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Beverly. It's been a real pleasure to have you here. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Transformational Travel Podcast. And we look forward to seeing you, hearing you, sharing more stories with you from our guests on our next episode. And be sure and like and subscribe and listen to us to wherever you listen to us on the podcast platforms. All right, everybody, blessings on your journeys.